Okay, I think I'll go ahead and get started. I have to say, as I was watching everybody come into the room, I wish I had my pom-pom from the accepted package that you all got in the mail last week, just to congratulate you and show how excited we are to be with you this evening. But my name is Molly Dunn. I'm the Director of Admission here at Petty School, and I am just beaming with excitement. This is our first event for our accepted students. I can't think of a better one to start off with. Our young alumni panel. And tonight is going to be a chance for you to really learn more about this experience, from those who went through that experience, who have either in college or out of college. They're going to share their stories with you. But this is one of many events that we're going to be hosting over the next few weeks, both virtual events as well as in-person events. But we are thrilled on behalf of the entire admission committee, on behalf of Petty, just congratulations on your acceptance to Petty, and we, hope to see you all here in the fall. Before we go much further, I just want to remind folks that this is a webinar. It's not a Zoom meeting, and what that means is a little strange. Like, you can't see each other. We can see each other as panelists, but we do want to make this interactive. So if you have questions, as we go through this, if one of our panelists says something like, gosh, I'm curious to learn more, feel free to put your questions or comments into the Q&A feature of Zoom, and we're going to try our best to address those as we go through this session. But I am very fortunate tonight that we have a fantastic moderator for tonight's event. I'm joined by my colleague, Shannon Cortman, who is Petty Class of 2013. She is our Assistant Director of Alumni Relations. And I think I'll let Shannon do most of the talking, but as Shannon can probably attest to, I have to say before we truly start that one of the best things about choosing a school, choosing Petty, is that you are going to be a lifelong member of this community. And it's, I think, one of the best parts of choosing to come to school here. The relationships that you have with teachers who are your teaching you in the classroom, but also your mentors and your coaches, the faculty that are living with you. Your friendships, friendships with people from all over the world. These are ones that you will carry with you throughout the rest of your life. So at this point, Shannon, the virtual mic is yours. Thanks for being here, and panelists, thanks for being here as well. Have fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Molly. And hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Cortman. As Molly mentioned, I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations, which means I work to create pathways for our young alumni to connect with our school and our students and each other. I did graduate from Petty in 2013, and I loved it so much that I decided to come back and work here. I started working here in July. I've loved being back on campus, and it's really come full circle because I played softball at Petty, and I'm actually down in Florida right now with the Petty softball team on their spring training trip because I'm helping with coaching them this year. So that's been a lot of fun. And as Molly mentioned, I can definitely relate to the feeling of the excitement and the eagerness that I felt right before I went to Petty. So big congratulations to all of you. I know it's going to be a great journey ahead. And as Molly mentioned, also, you will have great long-lasting relationships for the rest of your lives coming out of Petty. So big congratulations. And I have to say the alumni that we have here today really do embody everything that makes our Petty students so great. Each of them have had their own unique experience at Petty and have been involved in a variety of different activities on campus. And they've certainly contributed a great deal, not only to the Petty community, but probably more importantly they've made a positive impact on their communities even beyond Petty. So I'm really excited and really proud to have each of them on here today. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to our panelists just to begin some introductions. If each of you just want to give your name, your class year, where you're from, what you were involved in at Petty, and where you went to college, or where you're going to college now, or what you're doing after college. So Aiden, if you want to go ahead and kick us off with a quick intro, that would be great.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Aiden Loughran. I am a member of the Petty class of 2021, so just graduated this past spring. And right now I'm coming to you from the University of Virginia. I'm in my dorm room down here. And at Petty, I played soccer, basketball, and golf. I was a student ambassador. And then I also was able to, I had the opportunity to do some research the summer after my junior year virtually with COVID. And at the University of Virginia, I'm a member of Navy ROTC. So that's what I'm doing nowadays.
Awesome. Thanks, Aiden. I'll turn it over to Molly Lloyd.
So my name is Molly Lloyd. I graduated from Petty in 2014. I grew up in Hightstown. It's a wonderful place to live. While I was at Petty, I played field hockey all 4 years. I dove for a few years. I was involved in the Amphion, which is a creative writing, like published magazine that Petty does. I did tech for theater as well as acted in one show my senior year, which was like a big step for me. And then I also did the sophomore bike trip, which I still consider to be like one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. I went to Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I majored in women's gender and sexuality studies and educational studies. And I also dove all 4 years at Macalester. And now I live in Philadelphia, but I work at the Victim Services Center of Montgomery County, so Montco. I'm a prevention education specialist, so I work with youth and their families about sexual violence prevention.
Thanks, Molly. I will turn it over to Binglun.
Hi everyone, I'm Binglun, and I'm originally from Hangzhou, which is a city near Shanghai, if you don't know where Hangzhou is. I'm Petty class of 2018, and at Petty, I played JV soccer. I'm heavily involved with Petty music. I was in the orchestra, chamber orchestra. I played for the pit orchestra for winter musicals, and I also did the art signature program the summer after my junior year. And after Petty, I'm currently a senior at Princeton University, and I'm also playing in the Princeton University Orchestra right now. In terms of academics, I'm studying bioengineering, and after graduating this May, which is exciting, I'm planning on taking a gap year and working at a biotech consulting company, and then hopefully applying to grad school in computational biology.
That's awesome. Thanks, Binglun. I'll pass it over to Akshay.
Thank you, Shannon. My name's Akshay Modi, and I was a boarding student at Petty in the class of 2018 as well. And I'm from Durham, Connecticut. And during my time at Petty, I was the captain of the cross country and track teams, and also took part in the science signature experience, where I spent the summer doing research at Yale. I was also a tour guide, a member of the Gold Key Society, and did some things in student government as well. Like Binglun, it's hard to believe, but I'm now a senior at the University of Chicago. I study political science and public policy, and will graduate this spring, which is super exciting. I was actually a sports recruit, so I spent the last 4 years as a member of the varsity cross country and track teams. And besides that, I'm very involved in our Institute of Politics and other pre-law organizations on campus. And yeah, next year I'll be working at an analyst at a law firm in Chicago, and plan to apply to law school in the next couple of years. So super excited about that.
That's great. Thanks, Akshay. I'll hand it over to Ben.
Hey, everyone. My name is Ben. I am a member of the class of 2013, along with Shannon. I was a boarding student, which is a little weird because I grew up in Hightstown. Definitely one of the better decisions I made in my life. I was involved in so many things on campus. I probably can't even list them, but the big things were, I was on the soccer team. I was really involved in music, played in the orchestra, got even a little involved in the chorus in my senior year. And I was a prefect in the dorms, which was awesome. After Petty, I went off to Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, studied computer science. And then when I graduated, I've been working at Spotify. I live in Brooklyn, New York currently. My family still lives in Hightstown, so I love to come visit campus every now and then. Petty's always stays close to my heart.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. And last but not least, I'll hand it over to Lizzie.
Hi everyone, my name is Lizzie Jones. I am a part of the Petty class of 2018. At Petty, oh goodness, it's crazy to think how many years have passed. But I was a member and then captain of Dynasty, an all-girls team that Petty had. I haven't checked in to see what's going on with that, but loved it. Heavily involved in theater, which was something I never imagined, but found a love for. Part of student government. Also a member which was revealed on graduation day of Secret Society of Eight. I don't know if that's still happening. You guys don't know what that is, but very amazing group of people just sharing kindness on campus. What else did I do? I played JV soccer. Wasn't really my thing. So then I switched over to track and field. I ran and then ended up managing in my senior year. After Petty, I went off to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, where I graduated a semester early. So done with that. And I double majored in human health and African American studies there. Post-graduation, I've been doing research around maternal health and am currently in the process of hearing back from some public health schools. So fingers crossed for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Lizzie. And thank you everyone for all of the introductions. It's great to hear about your time at Petty and what you're up to now too. So thank you. So now we're going to get into the questions that we have prepared. And this first question, we'll go around in the same order we just did, because I think it does apply to everybody. So if you can just think back to when you were a freshman at Petty, how you grew over those 4 years, from the time you were a freshman to when you were a senior. How did you evolve as a person? Is there anything that maybe surprised you or anything you were nervous about that you overcame? And how has that experience prepared you for college and beyond? So Aiden, if you want to kick us off again, that'd be great.
Of course, thank you. So for me, probably the biggest thing I learned in my time at Petty was how to ask for help, because I came from a middle school that was relatively, challenged me, but not nearly as much as Petty challenged me. And coming to a school that is so academically rigorous, it definitely took some adjusting, but something that I learned throughout my 4 years was how to utilize all the numerous resources available to me. So whether that was meeting with my teachers one-on-one, utilizing there's a lot of student-to-student help, collaboration that's emphasized, and there was definitely a learning curve for me, but that's a skill, being able to understand, being able to know when I need some assistance. And there's always at Petty, there's always someone to push you in the right direction. And that's a skill that I'm still using today, in college. Also very challenging. I've been very well prepared, but there's so many different avenues for assistance, and Petty really helped me build a foundation in utilizing those.
That's great. Thanks, Aiden. I can definitely 100% agree with that, because all of the office hours and the extra help that they offer at Petty really give you a leg up when you go to college. I know when I did, I got very used to going to my professors, and I got really comfortable really quickly asking for help because of what Petty did for me. So thank you. That's great. I'll pass it over to Molly.
Thank you. So I think over my 4 years at Petty, I think one huge thing is that my confidence grew a lot, just like my interpersonal skills. I've always been an extrovert, but I was part of the tour guide program, which I loved to do. I loved helping out the admissions office, and I loved meeting new people, but that definitely gave me this this interpersonal skill and this confidence to approach new people as my best self. And so I definitely think that I became more confident over my 4 years at Petty. I also became a much better writer. I had Jan Loughran for 7 terms, which is unusual. So over 2 years, I had Jan Loughran, and she really challenged my writing skills, but it definitely made me a better writer, which I carried into college. I also remember thinking my first year of college, wow, I have great time management skills now because of Petty, which I carry into my life now when it comes to daily time management and kind of busy work and things like that. And then finally, on like a little bit more personal note, like my family went through a lot of things while we were at Petty. And I like can't imagine being in a different community for when all of those things happened. We were like really supported and we felt very loved. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly. I will pass it over to Bingwen.
I wanted to say I agree with everything that Aiden and Molly and Shannon just said. I felt a lot of the same things. As a freshman coming to Petty, I had just finished, not finished, middle school in China, and it was this completely new place, new culture, new everything, new language. And one thing that surprised me, I'm not sure if I had much of an expectation, like I didn't know what to expect coming to Petty, but Petty really has embraced me and my family. I was really touched by the focus of our teachers on the students. Some of the teachers I had at Petty are some of the people that know me the best, like in my life. I also had Jan Locker as my English teacher. And even after I graduated from Petty and got into college, I still go to her and also my advisor, Alan Michaels, who is the arts department chair. I don't know if he still is, but I still go to them for life advice and for help. And actually, Mr. Michaels, he was the one who suggested me to major in engineering, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. Yeah, and also, of course, academic rigor. There was a lot of support at Petty from the teachers, and not until I'm at Princeton did I realize how much and how well Petty has prepared me. Shannon mentioned office hours, and also like the freedom you have as you go into your junior and senior year in choosing your classes. There's really a broad spectrum of careers you can build for yourself at Petty. You can explore interests, and there's always a lot of support. And actually, I think part of the reason why I chose Princeton was because I had a couple of teachers who were Princeton alumni as well. And I know Mr. Dunn actually works at Princeton. And yeah, there was, it's just a really great community. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Bingwen. I will pass it over to Akshay.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. I definitely resonate with a lot of what's already been said, but as I look back at my last 4 years, I definitely came in, I think, relatively shy and lacked a lot of confidence and really nervous to talk to people, and being away from family, all these things added up. And then I saw myself being in my shell and recused. But throughout the 4 years, I really noticed a sharp change within me. I became a lot more community oriented, passionate about the different activities I was involved in and the classes I was involved in, and eager to take risks. So I think that's really reflective of what the school brings out in you and the amazing impact it had. I was particularly surprised about how close I was able to get with so many different faculty members. My advisor, my science teacher, and my cross country coach were all the same person, and that person became a second father to me. I had support networks such as my dorm supervisor, academic advisors, other teachers and coaches and mentors. So I was really surprised with all these different networks of not only students, but teachers that I was able to rely on heavily, being just a boarding student at the age of 14 and 15 years old. And I go to a school now where they say it's where fun goes to die, which is not true, but it is very academically rigorous. And I think learning how to prioritize my work effectively, being an effective writer and reader and a critical thinker are all things that Petty really prepared me for. So yeah.
That's great to hear. Thanks, Akshay. I'll pass it over to Ben.
Yeah. Oh God, there's so many things that I was not prepared for when I got to Petty my freshman year. But one of the things I really felt prepared for was I felt like I was a pretty confident leader. But what I didn't expect was through my time at Petty, I really learned from different role models how to be more of a silent leader and learning by example, leading by example. there were, coaches, teachers that I really looked up to who taught me that, there's always value in someone who can rally a group and get people on to the same focus. But there's also a lot of value in someone who can, even in the background, whether it's, doing their work and supporting everyone else, or just being there for someone who really needs it without, outwardly letting everyone know that you're being that person. Like that was something I really learned at Petty, and I've taken with me, out past my journey at Petty.
That's great. Thanks, Ben. And then last but not least, again, Lizzie.
So there were so many great things that were said, and I resonate with all of them and I echo them. I think for me, which I believe Molly was touching on, right? Like, was this idea that I always considered myself an extrovert before Petty. I would say I had a good sense of confidence, but I didn't realize, right? So I also did the tour guide program, how much Petty prepared me for things like public speaking and just interacting with people from all different cultures, being the one to start those conversations, right? And I remember doing actually, I'm gonna mess up the name. I think it's the speaking contest, the deck contest. I think that's the name I'm going for. Yeah. I would have never imagined speaking in front of like a theater of people, or being in different plays, or just being able to meet families and immediately start a connection with them and the students as well. And I think Petty definitely prepared me for that, right? And going into the world and being the one who is in a room full of people to start the conversation, to be the person who's having the icebreakers, just to open up and put myself out there. And I think also definitely Akshay mentioned this, but Petty prepared me to take risk. And when I went to college, it was one of those things where I had these two majors that I loved, but I wanted more classes that had this intersection. And I think a lot of advocating for myself came from, or was cultivated at Petty. So I was willing when I got to college to be that student who was like, I need this from you, and being able to communicate that, right? And I think a lot of that groundwork I definitely learned and was able to receive at Petty. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Lizzie. And thank you, everyone. I think probably the common denominator here is Petty really just kind of pushes you outside of your comfort zone, but also gives you that support and strength that you need to be able to give you that extra push and take those risks. And that really does stick with you in the long term. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but it is really cool to just see the unique experiences that each of you have had, all great things and all very different, because Petty really does allow you the opportunity to explore whatever it is you want to try and whatever it is you're passionate about. I know my older three siblings went to Petty, and all four of us had very, very different, but all very great experiences. And I think that just kind of speaks to what makes Petty so great, because it brings out the best in each person as an individual. All right, so let's get into our next question. This one is for Lizzie again. Lizzie, if you can tell me about a faculty or a staff member who changed your life trajectory and why.
Oh goodness. There were so many amazing faculty. I might have two. So definitely I also had Lochran, and absolutely demolished my papers, but I'm a better writer because of her. I demolished my papers, but I single-handedly say that because of her, it's the reason why when I'm looking at my own writing, I go to work with my red ink and I start thinking back to those times where I was so excited to hand in a paper, and then I saw all this red ink come back, right? But it helped me a lot when I got to college to be able to proofread my own writing and think beyond and think critically about my own writing, right? Which helped a lot with not having to revise as much when I got to college, right? So definitely when I think about my writing and how it's improved, I would have to hand that to her. But I would also say that, and this is just someone who made me comfortable with like reaching out to adults and just getting comfortable with even like someone in the academic setting, was Mr. Malley. And he would make grilled cheeses when he was on duty, and he would let me know that he was going to make them. And something about that really always warmed my heart. And it made me feel more comfortable to, I don't know, like have a close relationship with an adult, right? Or somebody that I saw in an authoritative like figure. So I would say those two definitely, they did a number on me, and I'm forever grateful for the experience that I had with them.
That's awesome. Thanks, Lizzie. I definitely hear from a lot of alumni that their writing improved tremendously over their time at Petty, so that's great. So this next question is for Akshay, and then I'll ask the same one to Molly. Akshay, was there anything that you became involved in at Petty that surprised you or that you didn't expect to become involved in? If so, what led you to become involved in that particular program, and how has that passion grown for you over the years?
Yeah, I think there's two things. One thing I've already touched upon, how running was a really pivotal aspect of my Petty experience. I'd come in freshman year, deciding on a sport to do, and on a whim, I decided to run cross country and realized that I could be pretty good at it. And then not realizing how good I could be, I was really lucky to have coaches, and this is throughout the board in several different sports at Petty, that really care about you as an individual and as an athlete, and really helped me to unlock my full potential as an athlete. So I was really surprised about the support I'd received there, and how good I was able to become. My coach would wake up early on Sunday with me, and he'd bike next to me while I'd go on my runs, who was also my science teacher, as I mentioned, as well. And now I'm able to do that in college. And then the second thing that I was really surprised in is, going into sophomore, junior, and senior year, really thinking about what do I want to study in college, and what do I want to do. I really didn't have a good conception, and I took AP US History and AP US Government, and I just fell in love with the course material and met with those different teachers outside of class and in different extracurricular programs, and decided that this is something I'm really passionate about. And it really sparked my interest in now studying political science and public policy, as well as wanting to go to law school. So I was pleasantly surprised about how through classes and through extracurricular work, I was able to refine some of the things I'm doing in college and what I want to do for a future career as well. So pleasantly surprised about that.
That's great. Thanks, Akshay. And now I'll ask Molly the same question. So Molly, what was it for you that you maybe got involved in that surprised you, and what led you to get involved in that, and how has that passion grown for you?
Yeah. My first thought when I thought of this was getting involved with the Amphion, which I mentioned earlier is the creative writing magazine that is published by the students. I got involved with that because I think Mr. Mixon, who's no longer at Petty, but he was an English teacher, was one of the heads of it, and he was my humanities teacher. And so he kind of got me interested in that. I had always been like a very big reader, and always considered like my writing, especially my poetry, to be very private. And so I never really thought that I would get to a place where I would be willing to like edit it and publish it for like anyone else's eyes to see, which was like a really big step for like my confidence boosting, the fact that I would like publish anything. And that has continued, like my love for poetry, for reading and for writing has continued. It has altered a little bit because like during the pandemic, I started making these things called zines, which are like self-published kind of artistic magazines. And I put my poetry in my zines now. And it really like kept me going during like the, the depths of quarantine, like in the beginning when, I was unemployed, I didn't have anything to do. I needed something to make me happy. And I really think that like this love and creativity and like love for poetry definitely came from being involved with Amphion at Petty.
That's awesome. Thank you, Molly. I think both of those are really good examples just of how Petty allows you to try something new, even and gives you the space to do that, even if you fail or even if you decide it's not for you. Kind of gives students the space to discover what they enjoy, and more often than not, Petty really does become that launching pad for students to dive into a whole new world of a particular interest, and that they can continue to immerse themselves in even beyond their years at Petty. So that's great. So this next question is for Ben. Ben, when you reflect on your time at Petty, what is one of the best memories that comes to mind?
Yeah, it's got to be for me my senior year Blair Day pep rally. So Blair Day is our big homecoming event. We have this long-standing relationship with Blair Academy. We always play every year. That's our last game of the season, and everyone always looks forward to it. And I played soccer, but I was also a drummer, and so my buddies and I, we're still best friends to this day, and we always talk about this performance we had at Pep Rally. It just got everyone out of their seats and really pumped up for Blair Day, and we went on to win our game the next day. And I still think back to that, even though, you know, I've performed plenty of times at Petty before. There was something about that day that really sticks in my memory, and it's crazy to think back in fall of 2012. People didn't really like videotape stuff on their phones, so it's one of those things. I'm like, oh, I wish somebody had a video of that, but it doesn't even matter because it's like hard coded into my head, being like walking into that gym for the performance, like sitting down at the drum set and like everyone storming down once we finished the performance. It really sticks in my head how united like we felt as a school at that time.
That's awesome. Thanks, Ben. I have to agree with that too. So I'm gonna ask the same question to Binglan. Binglan, when you think back to your time at Petty, what's one of your favorite memories?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because I love food so much, but some of the memories that come to mind about food. The first one is we have this annual International Food Day where, so you know, like how Petty makes a conscious effort to create a student body every year of diverse backgrounds, and we have students from all over the world, and every year we have this day where students from different countries make food that's like traditional in their culture in their country, and everyone just goes around the dining hall and just tries all these food, and it's always an amazing experience. And also, I think every Saturday for boarders, we have dorm food late at night. And I just remember, so my French teacher makes great cake with icing on it. Mrs. Logren makes amazing brownies. And I think my senior year I had Mrs. Brown, who was an English teacher, also graduated from Princeton. She made buffalo chicken dip. Like these late night like bonding experiences where we just sit around in a dorm lounge, it just feels like Petty just feels like home in those moments. And yeah, it's something, it's a memory that I really cherish to this day.
I love that. Thanks, Binglan. So this next question is for both Aiden and Akshay. Aiden and Akshay are both class agents for their class, which means they're volunteers for us and they help spread the news to their classmates about fundraising events or alumni events. So we'll start with Aiden. Aiden, why do you stay so connected with Petty today?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm a class agent and I'm also a class secretary for the Petty magazine. So that in that role, I help collect different updates from all my classmates and compile them and use that and put it in the Petty magazine for big class updates. And I stay in that. I mean, you know, Petty, I've made some of the best friends in my life, and being able to, you know, give back to the school that shaped me so profoundly, I think it was really important to me. And so when I was approached about being a class agent, I didn't hesitate. It's almost, you know, the least I can do. I'm still connected to Petty. My Mrs. Lochran, who everyone's been mentioning, I know better as Aunt Jan. I have two sisters who are attending Petty right now. One's a freshman and one is a senior. And I just felt like, you know, I had made so many great friends in my class. I have so many family connections to Petty that it's almost I just have to do something to keep connected to it. And I've been lucky enough to meet up with some Petty friends in the DC area down here. We spent a day in DC together. It was great. I have a couple of classmates who are also freshmen at UVA, and these people have helped me in so many ways just adjust to college. And, I could think of no better way to thank Petty for that than by staying in touch.
That's great. Thanks, Aiden. And Akshay, same to you. Why do you stay so connected with Petty today?
Yeah, well, I echo a lot of what Aiden has said already. But Petty was truly transformative for me as a young adult, I guess. Honestly, I still look back at college and now high school as well. Some of my fondest memories truly were from high school. The different traditions that were mentioned, such as Blair Day, and the International Food Day, and many other things, taking part in different theater classes, and just generally my personal development as an individual and person, in addition to learning a great deal in classes and on the sports field, etc., made it a really easy decision when I was asked to serve in this capacity. So a lot of what Aiden said, but yeah, just some of my fondest memories and transportive experiences have been at Petty. So that's why I do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. And we do love that you stay so connected. And even just working in the alumni office, I see how alumni, even years down the road, they look back with such fond memories and of their time at Petty, and that kind of leads them to want to volunteer and give back. So that's been really rewarding to see. So now I think
make a quick comment on this question. It just came to mind, but actually, Mr. Michaels, who was my advisor, we've been staying in pretty close in touch throughout my years in college, and it's really exciting that Petty is actually building a new music building. And Mr. Michaels recently asked me if everything works out, he asked me to join in the performance on the opening of the music building. And that's just super exciting. And during my time at Petty as well, alumni, I've seen a couple of alumni also come back to perform, and yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Finland. All right, so I think we can go ahead and turn to some of the questions from the audience now. I know some of them were already answered. Thank you, Bryn. But I think we can go ahead and just run through them. One of them, what is the one thing you wish you had done during your time at Petty? We're actually going to get into that as we close out this. So I'll hold off on that question for now. But maybe we can start with, what is your favorite tradition at Petty? I know we touched on a couple: Blair Day, International Food Day. But is there anything else that anybody else here remembers of their favorite tradition at Petty? Go ahead, Aiden.
Yeah, so one of my favorite traditions at Petty was the sophomore bike trip. I know Molly mentioned that earlier. And it was an experience like nothing I'd ever done before. The premise is essentially you go from Petty to DC in about a week. Sorry, my roommate's actually, I'm on a Zoom call. Sorry about that. So the premise is you start from Petty, end up in DC, and you're biking a lot. It's great exercise, lovely to be first week in June, beautiful to be outside with all your friends. But the biggest thing that it taught me was kind of, you're almost out on your own, like you're camping, you're cooking your own food. And I hadn't really done much of that before. And it was such a valuable experience that's like a very new thing for me. And you really like that trip built some incredible relationships with people I hadn't really had relationships with previously. So it was really just an incredible experience. And I highly recommend that you do it if you decide to attend Petty.
Great, thanks, Aiden. And Lizzie, I see you have your hand raised. I don't know if you have another tradition.
Yeah, I definitely say Heads Day. It's I call it the almost like our baby Blair Week, if you will. But I remember enjoying Heads Day, and I was a part of Green Team, and not to brag or anything, but we won every year that I was there. So I loved that. Or at least I think we did. I think. But I loved it. My particular favorite activity was hand on the flagpole. I tried to claim it any chance I could, because I wouldn't consider myself the most athletic person. So I figured I could at least do that for my team. But yeah, Heads Day, definitely a favorite day for sure. For sure.
That's a great one. Thanks, Lizzie. Any other traditions from anybody else? I know one of my favorite ones is just the volunteer day. I know when I went to Petty, they had the big volunteer day where everyone, pretty much the whole school, would gather in the athletic center to come together to volunteer for a common cause. And I know that's a big thing for, you know, doing our like 20 hours of volunteer work when we graduate. I just thought it was such a rewarding tradition to have. So that's great. And I see a couple other questions in the chat here. So one of them is, were you involved in the signature program, study abroad program, or any other special programs offered at Petty? If so, can you share your unique experiences? If anyone wants to answer that one.
I can go first. So we have a range of different signature programs, and I couldn't make up my mind between the art signature program and the EXP experience, or like the science focused signature program. So I kind of ended up doing a little bit of both. So I'm a violinist, and the summer after my junior year, I stayed in New York City for a month, and I studied with Frank Kwan, who is the principal violinist of the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. And I documented my experience practicing every day and just reflecting on my improvements and things I can still work on my technique and musicality, musicianship. And that same summer, I also did this program called the Secondary Student Training Program at the University of Iowa, where there were about 40 students there, all rising juniors and seniors. And we were matched, we were each matched to a lab, and we worked with grad students and professors there. And that was sort of my first exposure to lab research. And it really fueled my passion for science and for biology and all that. Yeah, so.
Awesome, thanks, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah. Just quickly adding on to what Binglin said. I took part in the EXP science program where I spent the summer doing lab research under a graduate student at Yale. And it was really, Petty really prepared us throughout my junior year. I believe just thinking back, yes, my junior year to prepare for that experience. But through that experience, I realized that sort of work is not for me, and did a complete 180 and found a passion in more of the social sciences and political science and things like that. But in that way, the signature experiences are really good as well, because they can amplify something interesting, or make you reconsider and pivot to another thing, which is what it did for me. So it was a win-win regardless. But yeah, so that's my signature experience.
Oh, sorry, I forgot something about my music signature experience program. So after the summer, there's actually another requirement where you give a senior recital. So that was actually my one of the best experiences I had at Petty. I had to prepare a program. It was over an hour long, and I prepared about 4 or 5 pieces and performed. And I think I became a better musician and a more confident person after that. And I think after my year of doing the signature program, I think Mr. Michaels also added another requirement where you have to conduct a piece for the orchestra. And I think that also really pushes you out of your comfort zone as a musician, for sure.
Definitely, that's great. Awesome. So I think we can jump into one question that again kind of ties into with some of the questions that were asked in the chat. So what do you wish you had known as an incoming student? Maybe we can go ahead and go around again and start with Aiden.
Yeah. So for me, the one thing I wish I had known as probably as a freshman is, I'd say it's how much I would enjoy my time there, not necessarily during classes or during athletics, but after that. So my freshman year, it was a lot different for me than my elementary school. I was going to class from 8 to 3, and then I had sports, and that can definitely take a toll. And so my first trimester, I would always, I'd call my parents and say, can you pick me up after soccer? I'm ready to go home. I just want to, rest and relax for the rest of the day. And that's totally a valid outlook on it. But throughout the rest of my 4 years, I would end up staying till 10 p.m. most nights. And I'd say, obviously you don't have to be there until 10 p.m. every night, but it is such a valuable thing to be able to spend time with the people who are going to be your best friends for the rest of your life. And I guess in my freshman year, I wish I had savored every moment of that. And, I was able to do that through study groups and just, fun activities with all my friends in my later years. But I would definitely say make the most of your time at Petty, spend it with the people you love. And, that's a day student perspective, obviously. If you're a boarder, you're there all the time. So you get that bonus. But yeah, no, I'd definitely say, make the most of your time at Petty. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely second that. As a former day student, I think originally, you don't realize how you can actually enjoy staying late and immersing yourselves in all of the things that Petty has to offer. And over time, you really find that you do enjoy staying late and doing all of that. So that's great. Molly?
So first, I just really want to echo what Aiden said. Even now, I talk to friends, like recent friends that I've made or friends from college, and I'm like, yeah, like I used to stay on campus until 9 o'clock at night, and they'd be like, what were you doing? And I was like, schoolwork and fun. So I definitely want to echo that. And also, had two things to say about this. One of them was like, I wish I had known how fast it was going to go by, because like you blink and it's over. And to say, make the most of your time at Petty, take all the opportunities you can, obviously be kind to yourself and only go to your capacity, but like you're surrounded by a network of people who will catch you if you fall. So like any opportunity that you want to jump at it. And then my second thought, which is kind of misinterpretation of the question, but one thing that I didn't know coming into Petty that I learned going through Petty was that you do not have to be perfect. I know a lot of students who go to Petty are very hard on themselves. We have high expectations for ourselves. We work very hard. I remember my junior year in a math class, I got like my first C on a test, and it was devastating for me. And my teacher still really liked me. And I was like, oh, like I can do not so great sometimes, and I still have value. My grades are not everything. There's so much more to me than just the academic rigor. So yeah, you don't have to be perfect. You can be a person when you're at Petty. You can be a whole human.
Very true. Thanks, Molly. I'll pass it over to Binglun.
Yeah, I think one thing that I wish that I was more aware of is how open-minded you really have to be coming to Petty. Petty is a place that really pushes you in all directions, not only academics, but also sportsmanship, since, I'm not sure if the requirements have changed, but during my time at Petty, you have to be doing 2 team sports, or like me, who is not so much of a sports person. I did pit orchestra during the winter, and as a boarder throughout the day, you have all kinds of obligations. You go to classes during the day, and then you have family style dinner. When I was at Petty for twice a week. And sometimes you will feel sort of overwhelmed. And one thing I learned is definitely, as Ada mentioned before, like not be afraid of asking for help. The support system is really great at Petty. You have your dorm supervisor, you have your prefect, your coaches, and your teachers who I think everyone, all the faculty members are genuinely, they genuinely care about your well-being as a person. And that's something that you really don't get anywhere, like you don't get everywhere, especially after I came to college where the student body is a lot bigger. I sort of miss that attention from my teachers and like how well they really know me as a person. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Binglan. I'll pass it over to Akshay.
Yeah, something that comes to mind is freshman year. You know, like we've all mentioned, all these different opportunities available and ways to be involved in the community and in sports and in athletics and in arts and whatnot. But I think you have to really be proactive and seek out those opportunities as well as seek out help as well. So I think something looking back that I'd wish I'd known is that no one's gonna, put an opportunity in your lap, but being proactive in that way is super important and a great life skill that's I carried on throughout college as well. Relatedly, I think it's super important to try different things. Trying theater, trying a sport you weren't previously interested in. It makes you a more holistic individual, and it can actually spark an interest that you might not have previously known. And then the last thing I'll say is that I wish I'd prioritized balance more. I think you can get caught up in, oh, the GPA really matters for college and things like that, but making sure that you're taking care of yourself as well, I think is super important. So there's some things I wish I had known as a first year or freshman. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Akshay. Ben?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really wish if I could go back and tell myself as a freshman is everyone's just as scared as you. Like it's so daunting coming to a school where people have all these achievements already at such a young age, and coming from all these different backgrounds, and it feels like everyone's already a step ahead of you. And honestly, I can tell you by the time I got to senior year, and this kind of honestly applies to life in general, is everyone's just figuring out themselves the same way that you are. And you think everyone's looking at you, everyone else feels the same way. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you're probably going to be the only one to notice. It really is crazy how it feels like you're and one of my favorite people from Petty, Pat Clements, he always said, you're not the center of the universe. And not in a way that, don't get ahead of yourself, but more so, no one's looking at you. Just do your own thing, do your best, and you'll get there. You'll get to the finish line. So I really, really wish I could tell myself that back freshman year.
That's great. Thanks, Ben. And Lizzie.
Yeah, so when I think about my experience, I think Molly said this, the number one thing I would tell myself is to take it all in, to stop and take it all in, just take a second look at everything that you're doing and enjoy that moment for a second longer. Because two of my best friends to this day, we still spend our Thanksgiving together. We call it Friendsgiving, right? Always these are my best friends. One of them, Christina, actually was gonna do the panel tonight, but she had something come up, right? So I actually knew Christina before Petty. We actually got really close because of Petty. We ended up going to college together. So maybe that says something about our time at Petty together, right? We couldn't get away from each other. But I think that I would definitely tell myself to take it all in for another second, because it goes by really fast. I remember my first day driving up to Petty. I remember it vividly, and I still cannot believe that I'm now done with college. So definitely take it all in and enjoy every moment of it. Be okay with failing, because you have such a strong community. People that you wouldn't even imagine speaking to are there supporting you. I messed up one time during one of the plays, and I literally was on the verge of tears, and someone that I had never spoken to just came up to me and gave me a hug, backstage, and it meant the world to me, right? you have a community, people are going to catch you if you fall, and it is okay to fail because you're going to become so much greater than you could have ever been if you didn't. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lizzie, and thank you to all of our panelists. Huge thank you for all of you for hopping on. I think we got all the questions answered in the chat, so thanks everyone. And also just all the panelists we have on here, I think your dedication, even just tonight, just kind of speaks to how much love our alumni have for Petty, not just during their time here, but for many years after they graduate. So thanks everyone. And I'll pass it back over to Molly Dunn for some next steps.
All right, Shannon, thank you. And oh my God, that was just great. I really enjoyed hearing from all of you. And if we could take this, traveling group on the road, that would be great. So the beauty of Zoom, being able to bring in different voices, different people, different experiences. So thank you so much. I also want to thank Shannon for all she did to put this together. And then my colleague, Bryn Bennett. So some of you heard from Bryn. Bryn is also a Petty alum. So Bryn, I don't know if you want to say hi, but
hi everyone. It was nice typing to you behind the scenes here. Thanks for joining us.
It was great. I loved seeing your responses too. So, but again, a perfect way to kick off this celebration for all of our admitted students. I hope you have a better sense of, yes, like going off to school that freshman year, like what's that like, and that experience and the challenges, and then seeing the other side of it and all the growth that happens and the skills that you gain and the friendships that you have. And who knew that Aunt Jan Loughran would get so much attention tonight too. I can't wait to tell her. She's currently serving as the freshman class dean. Well, the dean is on maternity leave. So I'm eager. I'm very nervous. So I do not want to show her one of my pieces of writing. I fear that she'll break out the red pen and go to town on it. So. But mindful of time, I want to just take a moment to remind everyone that, again, this is our first event. We have quite a few events planned. I think Bryn is going to do her magic and bring it up on the screen. So we will have some virtual events. We know that for some of our admitted students and families, it's going to be challenging to get to Petty, but these events are for everybody too. So even if you live nearby, if you're like Ben, you live in Hightstown. So the next virtual event is Wednesday, a week from today, March 23rd. We will be doing an international family webinar where you'll have a chance to meet all the different people who help support our international students here and talk to some current international students and their families. Bangla was talking about the food fair that we do. It's one of my favorite nights, and I'm sure we'll have more anecdotes like that to pass along. A week later, on Wednesday, March 30th, we're going to be talking about residential community here, open to both our day students and our boarding students, but certainly boarding students probably are quite eager to know more about what's it like to be here. But it's really hard to distinguish day students from boarding students. Once you're here, I see a lot of shaking heads. So again, that is for everyone is welcome to join us. Sunday, March 27th is our virtual Petty Day, where we'll have a lot planned for you to meet with faculty and coaches and advisors and our arts faculty, students as well. That's Sunday morning. And then our on-person events, the Be a Falcon Day. So we're doing those Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can see the dates here, March 29th, the 31st, as well as April 5th and April 7th. So please join us. The way to register for these events is exactly how you registered for this one. You go onto the enrollment portal, and at any time as you're going through this decision-making process, you have questions, you should not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help you. And if you want to continue the conversation with any of the folks that you met tonight, I'm sure we could find a way to make that happen as well. So many thanks to all of you. Great to see you. I love the Zoom world. The thing I don't love about the Zoom world, it ends so abruptly and we just go poof back into our real worlds. So thank you, Ben and Lizzie and Molly, Aideen, Binglan, Akshay. Make sure I get everybody here, Shannon and Bryn as well. So thank you all, and I hope everyone has a good evening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Bye.